We are kicking off with SmackDown, and Kevin Owens had some brutal comments for Cody Rhodes during the interview with Michael Cole in the main event of the show. Cole brought up that Triple H has gifted Rhodes something for one night only, but he couldn't speak further before Owens interrupted him from the Titantron. Owens was in his car once more and took jabs at Rhodes over Cody's so-called betrayal of their friendship, adding that Rhodes was much more interesting as Stardust. Cody responded by saying that while he was sure Owens had more zingers up his sleeve, he was going to find the prizefighter backstage, but this turned out to be an ambush. Owens got the jump on Cody, who valiantly tried to fight back, but Owens got the last laugh of the night by smashing Rhodes in the face with the undisputed WWE Championship. In what felt like the fifth time on SmackDown, security and officials arrived to cool things down, and it was Owens who stood tall ahead of this weekend's Saturday night's main event. It'll be interesting to see if Owens can be the one to dethrone Rhodes, as it's been close to 8 years since the Canadian last held any World Championship gold. This has been building for months, with Owens attacking Cody at Bad Blood, and all signs point to this grudge feud coming to an end this weekend at Saturday night's main event. But what did you think of this segment? Will Owens become a world champion again, or will Cody Rhodes end his massive 2024 with the gold? Share your predictions down below. Over to TNA Wrestling, as after over 4 years away from the company, Tessa Blanchard made her return at this week's Final Resolution. Blanchard returned during the Jordynne Grace vs. Rosemary match and assaulted the Juggernaut, and backstage vowed to remind the locker room that she built this company. Fightful Select reports that whispers of Blanchard's return surfaced on December 12th and were confirmed the next day by the Wrestling Observer. TNA, though, kept the news away from much of its roster and even some higher-ups with the company to avoid a potential backlash given Blanchard's controversial past. Blanchard's return was said to have come from a top person in Anthem, TNA's parent company, despite warnings from others in the company. Carlos Silva, the newly appointed Anthem president, was reportedly not the decision-maker, and this has been a return that TNA has been laying the groundwork for over the past 2 weeks. As confirmed by her Final Resolution return, Blanchard is returning as a heel and feuding with Jordynne Grace, with the idea being for Tessa to get the win in her first feud back. Blanchard's return puts the rumors and whispers of a comeback to rest, and comes after allegations of bullying and racial slurs derailed her once bright career in 2020. Blanchard has denied the accusations, and in April 2023 shared a smiling photo with La Rosa Negra, showing that whatever issues they had were officially in the past. Despite this, her return has divided fans, with some seeing a fresh start for a talented wrestler, while others see it as a gamble that could bring unnecessary drama to the locker room. Blanchard's return comes at a significant time for TNA, with key stars like Grace, Speedball Mike Bayley, and Josh Alexander potentially set to exit the company. Tessa's return as a heel will certainly shake up the Knockouts division, as well as her feud with Grace, who reportedly has reservations about working with the former world champion. But what do you think of Tessa Blanchard's return at Final Resolution? Is she a boost TNA needs, or will her return stir up more trouble than she's worth? Let us know down in the comments. TNA Final Resolution 2024 saw some of the company's top stars compete in the ring, but a top WWE name remained backstage. According to Fightful Select, AJ Styles was seen hanging out backstage at the show, and interestingly, did not have any sort of brace, cast, or crutch at the event. That's despite the Phenomenal One suffering a Liz Frank injury against Carmelo Hayes back in October, in what would be Styles' return to TV after a lengthy hiatus. Styles was part of TNA for years and remains synonymous with the company, and while he didn't appear on screen, he was able to enjoy Final Resolution from behind the scenes. SmackDown saw Roman Reigns challenge Solo Sikoa to tribal combat, with their much-anticipated showdown set to happen on Raw's debut on Netflix on January 6th. Reigns' Bloodline and CM Punk bested Sikoa's faction in Bronson Reed at War Games, prompting Sikoa to ambush LA Knight and Andrade on last week's SmackDown. The faction did not attack Shinsuke Nakamura, who was also in the ring at the time, and Sikoa made clear that Reigns hadn't beaten him just yet. This week, Reigns appeared via a video vignette to address the Sikoa feud and spoke of being awarded the Ulafala by his father and uncle, Afa and Sika, back in 2020. Reigns had earned the ancestral right of leadership as opposed to Sikoa, who had stolen it, and offered Sikoa a chance to truly earn it with the Tribal Combat match on next month's Raw. This will be WWE's second ever tribal combat match, with the first being between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Championship at SummerSlam 2023. As per the stipulation, there should be no interference, no disqualifications, and no countouts, and will determine who is the one true tribal chief. Later in the show, Sikoa sought to answer the challenge ahead of his showdown with LA Knight, but was interrupted by the entrance of the former US champion. Knight mispronounced the Ulafala during his backstage interview on SmackDown, and it was hard to tell if he did it on purpose as a joke or if he just made a botch. Nevertheless, after being attacked by Sikoa's Bloodline last week, Knight was hungry for revenge, but that was easier said than done with Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga lurking at ringside. Sikoa took control quickly with strikes as the self-proclaimed tribal chief was angry and wanted to take his anger out on the megastar. While Knight got in some offense, including after Sikoa's failed attempt at a Superman punch, it was Solo who controlled the bulk of this match, which made sense given the storyline. Knight made a comeback after a commercial break and hit several high-impact moves, but couldn't keep Sikoa down, and Fatu would prove to be the difference maker. Fatu had been attacked by Knight earlier in the match and would attack Knight to cause the DQ, and he and Tama decimated him before letting Solo finish him off with a Samoan spike. Apollo Crews and Andrade tried to help Knight but were taken out by Solo and his crew, concluding a segment with solid in-ring action, but what felt like lazy booking. At Survivor Series War Games, Jimmy Uso suffered a broken toe, but the former tag team champion and OG Bloodline member made a return during this week's SmackDown. Jimmy opened the show by expressing his pride in his family, including Roman Reigns, his brother Jey, and even Solo Sikoa in a surprising twist. Jimmy looked like he was ready to move on from the Bloodline, as he teased winning February's Men's Royal Rumble and even pursuing the United States Championship. Unfortunately for Big Jim, his return was hardly a triumphant one, as he was attacked by Drew McIntyre, stunning fans who saw the ambush as Drew floored Jimmy with a Claymore kick. WWE officials arrived in record time, and while McIntyre didn't go any further, a statement was made in this latest attack by the Scottish Warrior. McIntyre recently returned to TV and has attacked Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, and with Jimmy Uso now on this list, it appears that McIntyre is targeting members of the OG Bloodline. McIntyre was on SmackDown as part of the WWE transfer window, which is allowing for talent to appear on other brands and potentially make a full-time move to another show. It's pretty vague just how many stars can appear on the opposite brand and whether McIntyre has committed to a full-time move, but he certainly made a statement on this show. McIntyre has had an issue with every single member of Survivor Series Team OG Bloodline, and fans will have to stay tuned to see what's next from the former WWE champion. Carmelo Hayes was defeated in quick fashion by Braun Strowman, who made his return to TV after months away. Commentary noted that Braun was the first star in WWE's transfer window to switch brands, and his return comes after Nick Aldis had teased a mystery opponent for Hayes. The ever-cocky Hayes had said he'd make quick work of whoever it was before making his way to the ring, but looked stupefied when Strowman's music hit. Hayes attempted to floor Braun, but he didn't get far, but after he dodged a move which instead sent Braun shoulder first into the ring post, Melo was able to knock Strowman to the mat. Braun kicked out at one, and when Hayes went to the top rope, Strowman caught him and hit a running power slam to get his first win back after suffering a groin injury back in October. Braun is back and back on SmackDown, but what does this mean for the Wyatt Six, a group that many fans have speculated would eventually recruit the Monster Among Men? On this week's Raw, the faction lost to the Final Testament, and some fans have theorized that this loss would serve as the gateway for the Wyatt Six, bringing in another member. Given his past with Bray, Strowman would be an obvious pick as a new member, and does this move mean Braun won't be joining, or could fans soon be seeing the Wyatt Six on Friday nights? When you attend a wrestling event, you have the chance to make your views clear on talent, but when your words turn to actions at a show, a line has been crossed. For a fan to attack a wrestler is a huge breach of etiquette, and that's exactly what happened this week at TNA's Final Resolution event. During the show, Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers challenged TNA World Tag Team Champions the Hardys, and during the match, Edwards was outside the ring confronting a fan. The fan had been shouting abuse at Edwards, and when the pair came face to face, the fan threw a light slap at the wrestler, who slapped the fan back in the face in response. Edwards looked stunned about what had happened, and the fan was shaken and almost fell, but tried to smile and act like nothing had happened. Referees were present at the ringside area to deal with the situation, and at this time it's unclear if this was part of the show or not, but it certainly played off like a real incident. Having fan incidents, even in storyline, are risky, as companies don't want to encourage fans getting physical, and we'll follow this situation for any further details. The first match of SmackDown saw Michin versus Tiffany Stratton in the Women's US title tournament semifinals, and the first few minutes saw the pair struggle to gain control. That was until Michin was tripped on the apron, putting Stratton in control going into an ad break, and when we returned, Stratton attempted another double stomp, but Michin avoided it. That meant Stratton crashed to the floor, and though this match began with some sloppy moments, the pair clicked later on, and by the time the break was over, this was a good fight. Michin barely dodged Tiffany's moonsault before hitting Eat to Feet for the win, securing her place in the finals at Saturday night's main event this weekend. In the second semifinals match, Bayley took on Chelsea Green, who had Piper Niven at ringside, and as soon as the bell sounded, Bayley hit what looked like a belly-to-belly suplex. That only got her a 2 count, and the pair traded near falls before Green's body shots had Bayley trapped in the corner. This match had some highlights, but had times where it felt like all the chemistry had gone, and one has to wonder if there was a communication issue or one of them was working hurt. Whatever the case, their performance was affected, though these issues were only noticeable because other parts of the match looked fantastic. Bayley avoided a countout but couldn't escape the unpretty her, and Green scored the win to put her in the finals against Michin to determine the first ever Women's US Champion. As we reported yesterday, the plan is for Green to win the gold and make history, and we'll have to see how these plans unfold tonight at Saturday night's main event. The Jade Cargill mystery continued on SmackDown, and while she didn't appear on the show, she was replaced as a WWE Women's Tag Team Champion. Cargill and Bianca Belair had been going strong as champions since regaining the titles at Bash in Berlin, but the attack on Jade quickly raised questions about their fate with the gold. On SmackDown, Nick Aldis told Belair that Jade Cargill's absence will cause them to relinquish the titles, but Belair was against the idea, and Naomi jumped in to replace the Storm. Aldis said that the pair will need to be fighting champions with a title defense set for next week, and the SmackDown GM shared that they are no closer to figuring out Cargill's assailant. It's already known who will be challenging Belair and Naomi, as next week's SmackDown was taped this week, and we'll have to see how things go from here for the champs. Later in the show, Tiffany Stratton sulked to Nia Jax about her elimination in the US title tournament, and Candice LeRae shared that they'll be in next week's tag title match. LeRae shared that she and Nia will face Bianca Belair and Naomi, which was a botch that didn't go unnoticed, but fans also noticed LeRae repeatedly taking shots at Stratton. The segment ended with Candice telling Tiffany that singles wrestling may not be for her, and after LeRae and Jax left, Stratton looked at her briefcase. Many have seen this as a tease of a face turn for Tiffany, who, despite being aligned with Nia Jax, still has a shot at the women's title thanks to her Money in the Bank contract. As for Cargill, it's been reported that her injuries could keep her out of action for several months, and that she's currently receiving medical treatment following this setback. But what do you make of all this? Is Naomi the right replacement for Cargill? Who do you think attacked the Storm? Share your thoughts down in the comments section. In February, Kamille signed with AEW, but it wouldn't be until much later that she'd make her debut on TV, and did so as the bodyguard for Mercedes Moné. Despite this guaranteeing her TV time, many fans felt that being Moné's heavy was hardly the best use of Kamille, who now has weighed in on her AEW booking. Speaking to Covalent TV, Kamille was asked about her AEW goals and is ready to show fans more of herself and her personality, which hasn't been the case so far. She explained, "I still feel like the AEW world hasn't even seen a glimmer of what I have to offer. Even being able to talk and show some personality, I'm really excited for AEW fans to get to know me a little better. It's about introducing that side of me to the fans." If someone says, "Oh, there's no personality," I mean, to be honest, I'd agree with them up to this point because I haven't really gotten the chance to show it. So I'm really just excited for everyone to see that I'm more than just standing there making faces. Kamille recently quit as Moné's bodyguard and was mysteriously taken out during an episode of AEW Rampage, with fans expecting a feud between the two former allies when she's back on TV. Hopefully this feud will let fans see the side of Kamille she feels has been missing in AEW so far, as the powerhouse is ready to show off what she can do in an all-elite ring. Recently, AEW's Saraya launched a Patreon, giving subscribers an exclusive look into her life, along with exclusive content, but this situation has taken a turn. On Twitter, Saraya shared that some loser had bought the $100 tier on her Patreon and had been leaking everything she posted, saying that it was not fair. Expecting comments from certain fans, Saraya added, "Here come the leak jokes," in reference to fans who bring up that personal photos of Saraya were leaked years ago without her consent. Saraya has since changed her Patreon to a simple $10 subscription for all content, but when fans checked for an update, they found that Saraya has deactivated her Twitter account. It remains to be seen if Saraya will return to Twitter, as the no-nonsense wrestler made herself clear. And what do you make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. More from TNA now, as Rhino became a TNA Hall of Famer a handful of months ago, but now the Man-Beast and ECW veteran has parted ways with the company. On Instagram, Rhino shared that he was finishing with TNA and that his match with Ryan Nemeth would be likely the last time fans ever saw him compete in a TNA ring. Rhino made clear he's not done wrestling, and after his surprise appearance last month in NXT, we'll have to see what's to come for the Man-Beast from Detroit, Michigan. We've got some big news regarding Goldberg now, but we're not talking about the WCW legend / WWE Hall of Famer, but rather his son, Gage Goldberg. The younger Goldberg has appeared a handful of times for WWE, including by his father's side at Bad Blood in October, and fans could soon be seeing more of him. Speaking to Sportskeeda, Gage praised Triple H, calling the WWE CCO super nice to my dad and very nice to my mom, and a great person all around. When asked if Triple H has reached out about Gage possibly becoming a wrestler, the youngster said this had happened, meaning Gage's future may rest in the squared circle. In the meantime, Gage is currently playing football for the University of Colorado under coach Deion Sanders, but could he one day follow in his father's footsteps? Time will tell. Are you interested in seeing Gage Goldberg in a WWE ring? How do you think he'll fare in a tryout for the company? Share your thoughts and predictions down in the comments. This year, WWE has been more willing than ever to work with other promotions, including Bloodsport, TNA, Noah, and Marigold, but not everyone is feeling the WWE effect. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it's reported that one idea pitched from GCW would have seen Joey Janela and Megan Bayne team to face Matt Cardona and his wife Chelsea Green. WWE wouldn't go for the idea, which is an interesting move given that Bloodsport, which has seen plenty of WWE involvement this year, is tied to GCW. Whatever the reason, this mixed tag team match wasn't meant to be, and while Green continues to impress on WWE TV, don't expect her in another promotion anytime soon. Tonight, WWE will host its Saturday night's main event show, and while several legends have been reported to be around for this show, Ted DiBiase Sr. has since pulled out. That was first reported by SE Scoops, and in an update, Bill Apter shared that DiBiase has withdrawn from the show due to having a minor medical procedure. DiBiase is now feeling fine and is looking forward to being a part of a future Saturday night's main event, and we're wishing DiBiase the best on his recovery. Back to Survivor Series War Games, as Tonga Loa suffered a torn biceps during the show and has already undergone surgery, and now we know when fans can expect him back. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that Loa's recovery time will be around 7 to 8 weeks, and Solo Sikoa will be eager to have Loa by his side again when the time is right. Now, last week saw DIY turn heel to become the new WWE Tag Team Champions, and they appeared in a black and white vignette to share their side of the story. The pair spoke of feeling screwed when they lost the titles to the Bloodline, and argued that the Motor City Machine Gun skipped the proverbial cue when they won the gold. This was a brilliant promo from DIY, with a new presentation adding a much-needed edge to the team, and WWE once again had a heel turn that was made to feel justified. DIY feels that what they did was the right thing to do, not just because it means they're the champions again, but because they feel that the Guns needed to be taken down a peg. This means the team can turn heel without losing their fan base, as plenty was covered in relatively little time during this one promo on SmackDown. It was confirmed on SmackDown that Raw on Netflix will get a kickoff show this coming Wednesday from WWE HQ, and Logan Paul was among the superstars featured in the graphic. That's despite Paul recently claiming to be retired from wrestling after becoming a dad, but fans haven't seen the last of the Maverick. Backstage, Nick Aldis and Legado del Fantasma met, with the faction teasing a move to Raw, while Braun Strowman rejected being part of Pretty Deadly the Musical. It was also confirmed that next week, Strowman will be a part of the Grayson Waller effect, and fans can expect harsh words and likely more on that show. In another black and white promo, Shelley challenged Johnny Gargano to a match next week, though it was odd that the faces were receiving the same presentation as the heels. And that was this week's SmackDown, and what did you think of the show? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching.